Hello guys, in this video we are going to learn something very interesting, something very exciting, that we will be creating some new file, and using C++, we are going to write some content into a file. So to be able to achieve that, we would need the fstream header file, which helps us with all the file related operations. And now we will need an object using which we are going to do all of this work. So there is something called as an offstream in the std namespace, and then let's say we'll name it as file. So with this uh, being created, now using that, I'm going to open a file, and the name of that file will be, let's say, input.txt. I know that this particular file is not existing. So the way it works is, if this file is not there, then that file is going to get created. Okay. So we have opened that, and now since you're familiar with the while loop, let's use a while loop and say as long as this file is relevant. What we're going to do now is we need to read some input from the user. Okay. So for that we'll have some string, let's say that is called as an input. So what we're going to do is use the get line using the cin, and whatever the user is going to enter, that will be stored in this particular string variable. So what this line does is that it will wait for the user to enter some text, and once that entire line has been entered by the user, whatever has been entered will be stored in this particular string. So something very similar to cin, but the difference is that if we had used cin instead, then if the text provided by the user had some kind of a space in between the two words, then um, they wouldn't have been stored as a single line. So in order to ensure that things are stored as a single line, we are using get line here, using the cin, and whatever the user enters will be stored in this particular input variable. And now, for us to be able to continuously take those inputs, we also need a way to know when the user is done with entering the text that has to be written into the file. So we need some kind of a mechanism there. So what we could do in a simple way is that if the user provides a -1, then it's an indication to us that the user is done with entering the input. So we're just going to break out of this. Otherwise, what we will have to do for each and every line entered by the user is that we will just input um, that into the file. So whatever is stored in that string variable will be written into this particular um, file. Okay, so this also works fine. And after everything is done, let's say the user provides -1 and we break out of this complete while loop, let's also close the file that we have opened. Okay. So that's all for now, and let's execute and see how it's behaving. So as since I've not provided any particular directory over here, this file is going to get created in the same directory. So if this works fine, you should be seeing a new file getting created here when we execute. So let's see. So compilation is done, and when we execute, you can see that a new file is getting created over here, and it's waiting for the input because of this particular line where we're waiting for the user. So what we can tell is hello, learning C++, and then let's say -1. Okay, so now let's quickly check what has happened inside this file. Okay, so I have my hello over here, and then there is learning C++, but it's not coming in the next line. So what we could also do is, after writing each and every line, we can add a next line. And let me compile again, and let me execute. Let me enter something else now. Let's say hi, learning C++ and -1. Okay, it's done. And now let me go and check. Okay, so now the hi is in the first line, and then very neatly the learning C++ is in the next line. But the problem is that whatever input was previously there, I mean, I didn't delete this file. The file was still there, but whatever input was previously there, it's gone. So every time you are executing, there is this, the previous content is getting erased. So if you need the previous content to retain, so like you open a file, it has some content already and you want to retain that content as is and add additional things after that, what we could do is when we open the file, we can provide an option that says append. Okay, so what this will do for us is that whatever content is there in the file will be retained. Okay, so just to check if this really works, what we could do now is, let me clear the screen, let me compile, let me execute. I'll tell some new content, and then let me tell -1. So now if I check input, so as you can see, hi and learning C++ was some previous content, and this time when I executed, it's only the new content that I had entered. So that's working. I mean, the previous content is retained, and whatever I entered newly is now in getting appended without erasing the previous content. So this is the way you can write new content to the file. You can open the file and write some content into it and then close the file. So this is how you can do through C++. I hope this helps. Let's meet in the next video.